All right, welcome back to We Need to Talk, a podcast on the Gather Now Network. If you're here for the first time, you're welcome. If you've been part of the family for a while, want to thank you for liking, for subscribing, for pushing us out there. And if you're new, remember to like, subscribe, send us a comment. Let us know what you think about the podcast. It's always good to have feedback from you guys. But thank you again for watching us, for listening to us. My name is Emmanuel, and on part of the crew, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. Today on the podcast, our episode is going to be mainly about physical health and mental health. It's a new year, 2024, and one of the goals that people always have is to get to the gym. You get to the gym in January and February, everything is full. Everyone always has a plan to start exercising. And with us today, we have a man who I believe is one of the best physical trainers, not only in Uganda, but in East Africa or Africa at large. And that's not only what he does a lot of things. He's into the media. I believe that at a certain point in time, you could have interacted with his work without actually knowing that you are interacting with his work, especially if you live in the city of Kampala. He's a very bright mind. He's a public speaker. He's a father. And he has done a lot of things for the community. And we're glad to have him here with us today. Eddie, welcome to Gather Now Network on the We Need to Talk podcast. And it is really good to have I've interacted with you. I mean, apart from this podcast on a lot of occasions, and you're the kind of person who helps others grow, all right? And not only physically, but also mentally. I just want to welcome you. And for the people out there, I know I've described just a little bit of who you could be. For the people out there, just tell us who you are, what you do, and what your vision is for life, basically.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I wouldn't want to start from what most people usually do. My name is. They repeated their name. Yes, I think my name has already been said. You've said many things about me. I don't even know whether many of the things you talked about are actually true. Yes, but I'm just a very simple human being. A very simple man with a simple profile or no profile at all. I believe that adding value to people is what matters. And so I strive every single day. I wake up in the morning and start my day to add value to humanity. And giving people value is something I value very much. If anything I'm going to do doesn't add value to somebody, then it's not me. So that's pretty much who I am. I do a lot of things. I believe that God wrote a sentence and put a comma. The sentence should continue, but most human beings tend to put a full stop. So as such, a lot of people find me everywhere and they keep saying, but what are you not? What are you not? How can you be everywhere? And I keep telling them, and some says you're very good at everything you do. Why? So for me, Emma, it's really about sentence going. God never put a full stop, but we put a full stop where it gets comma. So life sentence is supposed to continue going until the day you breathe your last in this world. And then they say it's time for you to go home. And that's it. So as such, I do a lot of things. One of them is people development. And in people development is transformational leadership approach to things. It's something that I am one of the very few qualified people in that field in this part of the world. Most people talk about this other type of leadership, but for me, I'm a transformative leadership approach person. And everything you do must transform and must, change people. Health and fitness is something I grew up. I ended up in the gym at the age of 13. I have been working out since I was 13. Mainly it was because of my life. I mean, I got to a point where I cheated death and I was told that I was going to be written off. So somehow PE became PE and I ended up doing PE to this day. I guess I just keep doing PE by going to the gym. Everything about it is that. So I have a very strong background in human kinetics. That is the understanding of a human mind to the skeletal structure of a human being and how the muscle system in a human being works, how the mental system of a human being works, how the behavior of a human being works. And that's one of the things I do, among other things. Just an ardent marketer. I've been in the marketing space for a long time. I was trained before going to school for it. I really don't think that I got knowledge by going to school. I think I was born with it. So selling and talking about things and marketing things is not a problem for me. So some people find me as a good marketer. I just say I'm an ardent marketer. Well, what else?
That's a lot to unpack.
Yes. I've been in the media for, I'm going to 20 years now. 22. Some of the big names, putting people in front of the camera has been something I've done for more than 18 years, so it's 20 years now. So some of the big names you will hear in East Africa and, East and Central Africa, and I've collaborated with a lot of people across the region, the continent. I've gone across the world. And some of them have won very serious awards. Some of the companies, I think the latest work we have done is KCCA being awarded an winning award in China. I think is the biggest, latest one. But of course, for the city of Kampala, we have a very big footprint of the work that I do as far as that is concerned. And then, of course, Mandalis Energy. I think our biggest baby is at the World Economic Forum. So here we are. I don't believe in, talking about this thing, but that's the work I do in media, mainly documenting people's lives and making sure that we give them opportunity to share their stories and also keep these things because tomorrow you can publish it. So it's too much that I can talk about. Yes. Other than that, I'm just like you said, a father, and I believe that I am here to change the world. So that's where I am.
Yeah. That's what I was actually saying, that someone out there could have actually interacted with your work without knowing that it was you behind it. All of us growing up as a kid, there are things I wanted to be. Did you ever think at some point as a child that you could be a jack of all trades, have your hand in a lot of things?
No, did I ever think of, being somebody? Yes, but also being a jack of all trades? No. To be honest with you, it's a lie if I say that. Growing up, I wanted to be a pilot. I enjoyed everything about aviation, just seeing planes move around. At the time I started understanding them.
Was it a thing of used to make paper planes?
Yes, I did all paper planes and what don't. And then so I was fascinated with that. Then at some point I loved engineering, so I made wired cars and with the, sorghum straws in the village, and these are exotic stuff. And then we graduated to making wired cars, making those little cars we used to drive on the road using the wires and the copper, and really kind of stuff and catapults and all that stuff. So I thought I was going to be either a pilot or an engineer. And then one of the things that got me beaten so much was trying to figure out why people, when the radio is here. So there was this radio called Panasonic and Sony so we would hear people talk inside there. So one day we were wondering, what does this thing here hold? So I opened and I got beaten many times. I remember one time I hid my father's radio and they couldn't find it. So they thought someone had stolen it. I had opened the thing and I couldn't fix it back. So that was the area I thought I would be. But somehow when I was in P5, that dream changed. So I didn't know anything I wanted to be, because when meningitis hit and among the people who survived back then, the dream disappeared because I couldn't remember anything anyway. And I couldn't read or write. It took a bit of time. Cognitive ability became very severely limited for about a year or so. So thankfully, I would say God was there to sort of like make me a miracle. So somehow I bounced back. So when I bounced back, because I couldn't remember anything, Emma, so I ended up doing too many things, looking for this. So, and I think as a result, people did not believe. So I had to work so hard to prove a point. In the process of working too hard to prove a point to people, I ended up with so many things. Yes. And that's how, but I didn't see myself being a jack of all trades. Yes.
So at that point, like something you would have seen as a demise, like getting meningitis at that point, for you it was a blessing in disguise because it kind of gave you a blank slate of, now I can do all these things.
Yeah, come to think about it, I hated it for a while until at a certain point, I think Old Kampala. In fact, even when I left Old Kampala, I think I might have outgrown that feeling when I went for one of my leadership trainings. So when I went for one of my leadership trainings, which I was trained from home as a leader and everything, it ran in the family. And then, so when I went for this thing, when meningitis hit through that entire school time, when they took me back, I became a child and they said, just let him pass.
Yeah.
So things that were complex to deal with, like mathematics, geography, physics, and all that, I was taken out of that class for PE because they said that the fluid was going to affect my brain. And so they didn't want to push very much. So as such, I ended up with the sports, a lot of sports. And I hated myself for a very long time because the guys I wanted to be with, I was a bright child the year it happened. I never used to go past position 5 that year. I was first of all very disappointed because I was number 3 in class. And the guy who used to be behind me became, there's a guy and a lady, yes. So I was pissed off. So I hated myself up until 2000, I think 4, 5, 6, actually 6. 6 was my definitive year, so to speak. It is also the year I left my job. When I went for this training, 2006 is when I scored very highly. And so these guys were like, how? I mean, we've never met anybody who think like you. So I had a double A and a double B, a triple A actually, and a single B, yes. And these guys were fascinated. So that's when I said, okay, so all this nonsense that I went through, sorry to speak, forgive my French, actually, okay, so it wasn't bad. So if I had not gone through this, I would not have actually realized I could do this. And so as a result of that, my mind started changing. So 15 years ago, I changed my mindset and started cleaning my head. Like Bobby Wine said, before Bobby Wine became a politician, the man had a movie which cleaned his image. So by the time people are talking about weed and all this time, a man had a movie long time ago. So that's the place I was in. And I think that my mindset changed and I started to look at if I can make people successful with whatever I do, then I will be successful at everything I do. If it's business and commerce, then if I can make you successful, I will make money off you all my life. It sounded so ridiculous and people think it's selfish. But actually, come to think about it, if I come here for this interview and you are not successful with whatever I'm giving you in this interview, then I have not added value to you.
That's true.
So there is no way out. But if this thing become 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, okay, at least 100 people are going to look for me or 500 that might come and looking for me.
Yeah.
So that's my thinking, yes.
Yeah. So you help to help others.
Yes. That I enjoy it
together.
Yes.
Interesting. There are a lot of things that you do, right? You're into TV also. But today we really want to hone in on that physical side of yours. You talked about PE back in school, right?
Yeah.
And right now you're one of, I think, the best trainers, so to speak.
Yeah.
What was that journey like? And why did you finally decide to say, you know what, I think I should also go into this area of life? There must have been something you foresaw in the future and said, I think I want to do this as a passion. And I think you also studied for it. You have high certification. So what is that thought process like from PE into the trainer that you are now, right?
To be honest with you, Emma, what was the thought process like? There was actually no thought process, to be honest with you. So when I was told, and my mother and my parents gave up, they told my parents rather, not me, but my parents, that this child is gone. So my father actually gave up, having tried to get a boy child with his wife, then my mother, and then I was the last born. He had so much hope, and then things happened. So she didn't see it. So my father actually decided, you know what? He gave up. My mother decided to try and fast and did all this stuff. So there was no thought process because going from PE to this, it was me looking for distraction. If you ask me if I've ever suffered from, some mental anxiety and all that, yes, that's why when people talk about mental difficulties, mental health, and what, they have no idea. They actually don't understand it because I lived in that space myself of trying to figure out who I am and all that. So I never thought about it. So the entire process and journey for me, Emma, it was me trying to find out if the fluid they said in my brain was actually going to affect me. And if it yes, I need to race against it. Number two was to find out if really what they say that I was going to be paralyzed on the left side was actually going to be true. So I lived with that fear that I cannot be a guy who cannot walk. It's not possible. So as such, started working out. Then I met so many people. So along the way, I started doing research. And that research and development in human mind. So I studied the human brain, how it works, how the system works, then central nervous system, the 3 parts of the brain, looking at the limbic colibus and all this stuff. Then I looked at the signals of how a human being responds to a specific stimuli, which is called to action. Looking at electrolytes, looking at all these things. Then I realized, so I wasn't getting paralyzed. Along the way, I was getting strength. Whenever I would do this, I'll do this. And I went to the gym. Then along the way, I became successful. So it was really about saving me. It was never about anybody. So fast forward, to cut the long story short, along the way, I would go to the gym and I would see people struggling. So this knowledge lived with me, 12 years and plus still going on. The doctors stop. When the doctors treat a person who has suffered from non-communicable diseases like heart and whatnot, where they stop and say, now, medicine cannot go on, is where I start. So a lot of people were doing physiotherapy and all that in the hospital. There was no results. People take so long. So I said, wait a minute. I can hand this story to helping somebody. So I began to pick people as guinea pigs. I will pick a person who has suffered from, stroke and start with that. And then now use the knowledge I have and the experience I have and the skills I have to actually study the muscle systems and look at the muscle groups, look at the diet, look at the lifestyle, and then recommend a remedy and then craft an exercise that allows expansion and contraction of the muscles for that person to be able to walk. So I started to restore people in that process. It was never for me to make money. Come to think about it, if I actually decide that I need to charge this thing, it's good money. I will be rich. Yeah. So because these guys are usually struggling, so I think I got taken by the pain that these guys don't have the knowledge and would never walk again or never see again. But I've sorted a lot of people with, Bell palsy, a disease that just affects the brain, and you find somebody's mouth has shifted to the left or to the right and stuff like that. So as such, I discovered, to answer your question specifically, along the way that I can use this knowledge to change as many people as possible. So I focused on what we call restoration if the person is sick. Or I focused on prevention. So a bunch of what we're talking about is what we're calling it human kinetics or kinesiology. He talked about it. It's a bunch of, study of many things combined together. Science and doctors study curative. I come from a preventive medication. So for me is if I can prevent you, Emma, from falling sick by telling you everything, that you do everything, because the power is really in a human being. Everything God has created with a system of sustenance and reciprocation that it gives. Yes, the rain comes down, drops here, and the soil receives. The soil doesn't give, the vapor doesn't come up, then there's no cloud that, brings. So if it cuts, and in summary, when Jesus cast that fig tree, there are 12 guys who walked the journey with Jesus until they reached the other side. Then on the way, but there was one guy called Peter. I guess Peter must have been a very stubborn guy. When they came back, this fig tree had gone. So he asked, why, Master, did you cast this fig tree? Just said, wait, why comest off the ground in Old English when you bear is no fruit? So I realized that everything using that story, and it leaves every human being born to this world can be fit, healthy, and they all can build muscles. They just need to understand the different muscle systems and the DNA that produce them. My latest study was on a group of people, ethnic people called the Ima people, commonly known as the Bahima people. because their structure is very different. So I spent a lot of time studying whether they have elephantiasis or it's not.
Yeah.
And then my latest research was on a son of a person. They say doctor, patient, I don't say the name. Yeah, so this guy was so looking down on himself because it's so small and up down he's struggling with. So I coached this guy for 2 years and I told him, actually, no, you have to understand your DNA and the way you need to work and the way your muscle system work.
Yeah.
So he doesn't look the same way he used to. So in long story short, that's how I discovered, and it's what I've been doing to help people as far as health and fitness is concerned.
Yeah. It's very interesting that you said when you had meningitis at that point, when you were in school, they told you that any extra information that you took into your head would actually
Blow it up.
detrimental.
Yes.
Yet you actually put a bigger load. I mean, understanding kinesiology
Yes.
and how the body works and all, that's a bigger load on the brain.
Yes. Yes.
Somehow your brain actually got accustomed to that and, led you to where you are today. All right. And I think for the people out there, if you're listening, sometimes the world or the community will tell you, you know what, this is where you stop. And I liked what you said earlier at the beginning, that God wrote a sentence and put a comma. All right. Most of us just end up putting a full stop and they say, you know what, because maybe I have a withered hand, this is it for me. All right. I've seen a basketballer who plays with one hand. He has one hand, but he plays basketball at a professional level, right? So if you're listening to the podcast and you're out there and you think, okay, you know what, my situation needs a full stop. Eddie's here telling you that, you know what, he was at a point whereby he could have put a full stop, but he considered it a comma. And I can't say you've written everything, you're just continuing to write what you need to be writing, yeah? It's 2024, and like I said earlier, our gyms are getting full, Everyone has this thing of, you know what, I need to get fit, and I need to maybe lose weight, I need to put on some pounds here and there, all right? And people go into this exercise thing or with different mindsets, all right? As a trainer, what are some of those mindsets of people that you have had, especially during the first part of the year, let's say Jan, February, March? And why do some people just end up giving up with the gym altogether? I was on Twitter and someone said gym is a scam or working out for the scam. Why do you pay your money to go and suffer?
Yeah.
All right. Or you pay your money. And I remember the first time I went to a gym, the first workout I did, I couldn't walk the next day. My hands were heavy, my legs were heavy.
Yeah.
And I also considered quitting. All right. So as a trainer, why do you think some people have a goal to change, how they look physically and also health-wise, but end up giving up 2 months, 3 months down the road?
Wow. Why do you think people giving up? January is full, 2024 is full. I can tell you this, Emma, for a fact, that human beings fail in so many ways.
Yeah.
Just because we give up very easily. And we're never thinking about everything else ever built in life never came easy. I've never seen anybody who just wake up in the morning and say, me, I'm fit. Then they go and sit there and wait. Except these guys who go to church and pray for miracles. They go to church in the morning. They stay there and they pray. They stay in those benches in church waiting for God to come and give them a miracle. It would never happen.
Oh.
Likewise, there are two combinations I always tell people you should not have: to be broke and unfit. Even go
choose one.
The thing is very broke. If you're broke and unfit, God will reject you. You will never receive anything from God. Why? Because people like to give up very easily. So what you've said is true. When it comes to January, diary is always full. Nobody believes that you have to take an extra mile to do that. You said something, Emma. You were in the gym. Of course, there's the other part of the person you met in the gym who didn't know anything and decided to give you weight that you cannot carry.
Oh.
Your muscles were stretched beyond its point on day one. Certainly, you're going to tear them. You're going to break them. If I start to break this, you need 5 to 10 podcasts. You even need 24 episodes just on the muscle system and how it works and why people never get results.
Yeah.
So, but because we don't have that time, I'll try to break it down simple. Everybody is looking for New Year. That calendar is setting. When it comes January, you were the same old person on 31st when it crossed that midnight. You were the same person. Your behavior and everything you've ever had in your life has never changed.
True.
The calendar seems to have changed, but you're the same person. You've grown old by 1 year. You're not going to change. Your mentality, your behavior is the same. What we need to do is to stretch. When you say trainer, I'm actually beyond the trainer. Yes. Usually we use trainer for when you're teaching kids new skills to begin to prepare them. But you're right when you say trainer as a trainer, because you need to start by, first of all, understanding Emma. I never put somebody on the floor to carry the weight in the gym before. First, if you tell me I need to work out, the first thing I will tell you, okay, first come and we have a sit down. Normally, it's either in a place where I'm very convenient with, and for many people, whether they are Easterners or Westerners or wherever, or when I say Eastern or West or Africa, if they're in Uganda, somehow by default they find me in a coffee shop called Endiro. Usually it is better because then I'll ask the question. So Emma, sorry, Grace, you want to work out. Why? Why do you want to work out? What's the problem? How did you realize that you need to work out? So Emma will tell me, actually, I don't know. I saw Amon or so-and-so or Moses or James. His arms are like this, his legs are like this. So I felt like, I look bad. And I said, wrong. Babe. Because you'll never achieve what that person has achieved. Why? Because you don't know why you're going out. So I want Emma to come to me and says, I've been having sleepless nights. I struggle to sleep. Walking has become difficult. When I eat food, I sleep immediately. Okay, Emma, this is serious. That means that Emma is awake about his life, his health, he's concerned. So when you come like that, then it says, okay, so are you ready for this journey we want us to take, Emma? The journey of fitness starts with a few steps, but it's a marathon ride, not a sprint.
Not a sprint, yeah.
So when you come, Emma, I need to take you through that process. When we agree, then we go to the gym. We first need to start with a process, the simplest process, what we call the primary components of health and fitness and secondary components of health and fitness. The first one being cardiorespiratory capacity. I mean, you're an athlete. You know this. If that athlete cannot run, if you can't run and contain oxygen flow to the body, from the brain to the rest of the body, no coach is going to put you on any pitch or any court to play anything.
True.
Because you will collapse and you will die. So the first thing we want to start with, and everybody who is listening to into this podcast needs to understand that the first thing you need to do is find a coach. The reason why they are called coaches or trainers is that they need to walk with you the baby steps journey to get there. If you show up in a gym and you meet this person and you say, I just want to lose weight, it's definitely going to give you something because he doesn't understand it. And a lot of people, because they don't invest in the reason, first, why they must work out. 2, understand what they must do. 3, make the person going to coach them understand the problem that has triggered them to do this. Those 3 components are key, Emma. So we will start by cardiorespiratory capacity building, which is the aerobic capacity. People say, I'm going for aerobics, which they usually do wrong. Ability of the body to take in oxygen, that is respiration. Breathing first. Yes. Use that breathing at the cell level, which is circulation of oxygen from the brain to the rest of the body. That's how a normal human being, God created them like that. Respiration and circulation are used at the cellular levels to create bioenergetics. In simple, plain language for anybody listening into this podcast, it's conversion of food you've eaten to energy. That energy, science call it blood sugar, but we call it glycogen. Okay, energy, science call it glycogen. Everything food converted to that energy. But the layman call it, my blood sugar has gone low, then they drink coffee or they drink soda or they drink whatever it is because they don't understand it. So needless to say so much, Emma, it's just to say, if you can breathe properly, have nice circulation of oxygen, you have enough room in your chest box for you to have a lot of oxygen. Then I can subject you to squats, to push-ups, to jumps, to all of this, because I know you're not going to do 1, 2 and collapse and you die.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure your brain is able to circulate. Then in that process, we convert the food you've eaten to energy. Then that energy is stored. So then now at the back of the back, there's what we called pancreas. So pancreas function is to release insulin. Insulin, whenever the brain requests for sugar, requests for energy, insulin releases amount, exact amount that goes in that does not proceed, because the more it releases, the body is going to demand for more sugar, and then it will break down. Then we'll end up with diabetes and all these things. So people need to invest in that first. That understanding, Emma, is key. Then I can now subject you to, squats, push-ups when we are building. But you need to start with baby steps. So you got the pain because when you went in there, the guy just threw in the wax. Yes. So normally, unfortunately, is the biggest problem of most people. So by 5th of January or 3rd January, all of them were out of the gym. Now, today is 14th or whatever, 15th or 16th, I don't know when, depending on where people are listening to this. That gym is now empty.
Yeah.
Everybody's gone back to where they used to be eating the same thing because they didn't invest time. So first thing first, prepare your mind, find the information, get the information, know when to do it, how to do it, which parts to start with, what food to eat, how to change your lifestyle. Then you will achieve all of this.
Yeah. Very interesting. A lot of things you unpack there, especially on the scientific side. I think I also studied a bit of it, ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and all these things. Because going to the gym, I also had to understand. I won't leave it after that experience.
Yes.
I took it to my. I might as well understand this.
Yes.
You've had an interesting journey, all right, and you're very passionate the way you talk about these things, and I believe that passion is one of the things that you actually need if you're to be successful at anything you do at any kind of level. I was reading recently, according to the World Health Organization, there are certain parameters they give that for a normal functioning human being. All right, they say that for children who are 5 to 17, they should have at least 180 minutes of physical exercise a week. All right, then you move into the older people, 18 to 64, at least between 150 to 300 minutes of exercise. All right. And I think, according to me at least, all right, people actually don't get to these parameters. There are certain people who are, for lack of a better word, couch potatoes. All right. They move basically from the office to the couch to watch TV.
Yeah.
And the only exercise they do is, like they always say, is walking to the fridge and back.
Yeah.
All right. According to you, and according to maybe these statistics, what do you think a normal functioning human being should be able to do physically in a week?
Wow. Thanks, Emma. It's a very intriguing question. What do I think a normal functioning human being should be able to do? First of all, the World Health Organization statistics is a bit old.
Yeah.
And I would say it's a bit outdated. Because the reality of this is 150 or 160 minutes a week is too small for the productive human being.
Yeah.
Okay, typical working hours. You wake up in the morning, you go and sit for 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
Some people even sit for most part of the year of the day. Working like accountants, they don't move, lawyers, judges, they sit for most part of the day. Now, when are they going to get, if you are supposed to rest for 8 hours minimum to sleep, and you need 156 minutes of active a week, it's not possible. It's too small for that person to be very active and to live a healthy life.
Yeah.
I suggest, and I say this, that a human being needs 2 hours minimum, or 1 hour, 30 minutes minimum daily
In a day.
In a day.
Not a week.
Not a week. Daily. In addition to them being physically active. Because the biggest death, Emma, ever in the human history to this day is accredited to physical inactivity, that you're physically very inactive.
Yeah.
Death comes in. 2, lifestyle. Before you become physically very inactive, your lifestyle. So here's the thing. A child is born into this world. I'll start from that moment. When the child is born into this world, they come, they start to feed every 2 hours.
Yeah.
Then every 2 hours move to every 1 hour. Then every 1 hour moves to every 30 minutes. Then as they grow, they begin to demand for food more because the body is burning that food faster. When the child starts to run, I'm a father of a 2-year-old child, miracle child. He did not eat food. To this day, I think my wife believes that he has the DNA from me because I don't eat. I don't like food. People even wonder where I get the energy from. But I can take very little drink because I tune my mind to eat little food because I don't like my stomach full because it neutralizes my ability to think. Whenever my stomach is full, I can't function. The emptier the stomach, the better for me. I can go even drive. I've tested it where I've driven for 1,600, 1,700 kilometers and people are shocked
On an empty stomach.
on an empty stomach, like just drinking something and just going, no food, nothing. I am too sharp for that moment.
Yeah.
Now, for other people, they don't look at it that way. So we look at that lifestyle. I'm talking about lifestyle.
Yeah.
So these statistics where World Health Organization doesn't have the perspective of those who actually live these things every single day. I'm not saying they have tried. At least they have something you can go and Google and start from.
Yeah.
But my recommendation is 1 hour and 30 minutes a day. Why? You sleep for 8 hours or even less. When you wake up, if you had less sleep, you need to help your body to detox because God created a system of sleep that when you go to sleep, I don't think many people listening into this podcast or watching, for that matter, have ever asked their doctor why the doctor says you need 8 hours or why the world says 8 hours. Nobody has ever talked about it. Even me, I was saying, telling my parents, you need to sleep for more than 8 hours, 12 hours. So I slept for 24 hours. I slept for, I don't know, 1 week, something.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm like, why am I sleeping for this? Then I found out one thing, that the reason why we say you sleep for 8 hours or a human being should sleep for 8 hours because you've eaten food. The body needs to detox. The only way system God created for sleep is that when you put your brain, your head down to sleep, sleep comes. 3 hours is just preparation for detoxification of a human being to happen. You must knock 3 hours to 4 hours. If you don't knock 4 hours, you don't detox. Human beings don't detox, Emma. And that's how we end up with disease.
Yeah.
So when World Health Organization is talking about this, to what extent of these minutes are you talking about? Do you actually put quantifiable, justifiable, measurable metrics to this to say this is why we need to do this? So I want to debunk this theory by saying, if you talk about this, put quantifiable, justifiable, measurable metrics into this. That if I do this for these hours, I detox this amount. So when you sleep for these hours, so if you go to sleep at 11 o'clock, at between 2 and 3 o'clock, the body shuts down. You are dead. That's when the kidney starts to fire. That's when the body starts to process itself. And then everything is removed from the blood. The kidney runs, the liver is demanding, and the kidney and the liver is running at the same time and purifying and putting this thing in the bladder to store it. Then people wake up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock when the bladder is full. Most people, every human being created under the sun, I'm sure you know this, Emma. The time you run to the bathroom is about that time. That's also the time most heart attack happens between 3 and 4 o'clock or 5 in the morning. They says, this person went to sleep, they didn't wake up. No, they woke up. They woke up, went to the bathroom. There was less oxygen in the brain when they woke up because the body was completely at optimum level of rest for the detox to happen. So when they woke up, they just, because the bladder is full and there is electrolyte sending signals called to specific stimuli. I need to pee. And then pop, get up, run to the bathroom. You come back like this, sit like this, pop, the brain shuts or the heart shuts because there was not enough oxygen. That's why we say when you get up from sleep, first sit for a couple of seconds, 5 to 15 seconds is very good. Yes. Or 20 seconds is enough for you to avoid any heart attack. So everybody is prone to have a heart attack because of the sleeping pattern. But science always tells people that only old people. What about young people who went to sleep? This so-and-so went to sleep, he didn't wake up. No, he woke up and went to the bathroom and then came up, or she. So when you go back to this, my thing is 2 hours, 1.5. Personally, I must do, if I don't work out, then I must be very active by not taking food. I'll drink coffee to continue. I drink coffee, a lot of coffee, a lot of tea, a lot of water, so that to balance that. But at a certain point X, I must sleep. There's just no way about it to detox. So now, exercise and being the minutes they're talking about must be linked to this. So if you get a human being to know that, actually, I need to do this, because you're not doing it for anybody. It's also linked to your productivity. The productivity of a human being is measured based on the amount of, okay, if I make coffee, Emma, for example, if I brew coffee, let's say I'm a barista, barista and barista. The other lawyers will start saying, no, these guys, they're not lawyers, yes. So if I do this, if I wake up in the morning and I go to do this work, if I have not had enough sleep and there's less activity, physical activity, chances of me being sloppy during the day are very high and not concentrating. So which means the marginal productivity of a human being is severely limited. Money that makes a human being rich is from the marginal productive, what we call marginal productive, that this human being is able to work for 8 hours. In these 8 hours, you earn 450, you earned 200,000, right? Now, you have to go for an extra hour. If you're able to sustain 12 hours of work, 13 hours of work, 14 hours of work, chances of you being rich are very high, Emma, because you're always going an extra mile that Okila cannot. Because Okila, by 1 o'clock, is done. He's sloppy, he can't do anything. Then the boss says, this guy is just weak. But there's a guy who goes for 16 hours. Then he's able to contain this, and in a week he sleeps. He must find a moment where he sleeps for 8 hours. That's what I do. That's my behavior. So, in summary, Emma, how many minutes? According to your question, I would go beyond minutes. And it's good for human being. They're going to say, I don't have time. My work is too busy. Let me tell you something. Okay, you have a knee problem. And tell me if the pain is going to allow you to do that job. It won't. You will never do that job, Emma. I've never seen anybody sick who wake up in the morning to go and work. Neither have I ever seen anybody who has money use money to treat themselves and get healed. They always run out of money. So what do a human being have? What we have, Emma, and everybody listening to this, is ability for you to contain yourself to be healthy and fit at every given time. You will make all the money in this world. So money is not the best motivation. If a human being is healthy, Emma, they will make all the money or they will survive. Human beings have survived time immemorial. I mean, early man, have we said, or African man, because the African man walked 40 kilometers to go and tilt land. Those who walk 40 kilometers, 50 kilometers are still 90 years old today. The current generation of the 70s, 80s are dying at 45. Easily like that. And you wonder yourself, why is a 90-year-old, 70-year-old man not dying? I'll never want. And this one are dying because their level of steps, physical activity is severely limited. So go beyond the minute. 30 minutes, you wake up in the morning, just do run around your compound. The next 30 minutes, you're actually doing expansion and contraction. Expansion, contraction, you subject your muscles to expand and contract. I will break it at some point. Maybe you will ask the question, or I will try to bring how actually muscles are built, how we lose fat, what we do in the process. So if you subject yourself to that, let's say you wake up in the morning, typical stuff, you run around fast, change and run around, or do some jumping, sweat for 30 minutes, because you're just converting food. You are activating your metabolism because you went to sleep. Most people don't even know why we called it breakfast. People just say, I'm going to get a breakfast. Do you know what that means, Emma? That you went fasting when you went to sleep. You are fasting. When you wake up, you are breaking fast. That is what they call breakfast. Now, people eat supper there, but they are breaking fast. When you're breaking fast, you take with the 2 bananas, glass of water, tea, it's enough. Because you're breaking fast. Such that you allow your body to burn the food, metabolism to increase, enzymes to be active enough for you to burn the food. Now, that's the 30 minutes you're doing. The next 30 minutes, Emma, is now begin to do either push-ups or sit-ups or squats. You are subjecting to yourself to now muscular capacity building, which is expansion, contraction, so that you can actually burn fats. Because at that point now, you're going to tear and then you burn fats. Now, the half 30 minutes that I talked about is for you to work slowly. Now, recovery process. You don't just wake up, work 30 minutes, and then you go and dress up, you go. You'll be tired because you need the process for the muscles. That's why I say minimum 1 hour, 30 minutes. Now, Emma, everybody can afford that hour every single day. And if a human being afford that hour and they're able to drink water, at least 1.5 liters of water a day, reduce the amount of food they eat, they'll live for eternity.
It's interesting because someone would think you'd say increase the amount of Yeah. We're turning towards the end of our discussion, but maybe 2 questions before we get to that. We talked about lifestyles, right? And I believe that working out is a lifestyle that people need to adopt. All right. And on the other side, there are certain lifestyles that people need to live. All right. There are some people who suffer with things like obesity. All right. There's atrophy, especially for the older generation. I'm not using their muscles, so ends up working against them. There are other issues like alcoholism. Then there are mental disorders that also come up, like depression and all that. So, according to you, how can we use exercising in its different forms? Some people go to the gym. Some people do yoga. Some people ride bikes. I think you are riding, bikes this week. How can we use physical exercise to help us deal with these problems and change our lifestyle for the better?
Oh, thanks, Emma. That's a fantastic question. How can we use physical exercise to help us change our lifestyle and build? Here's the answer. And I would use a 3-dimension. I'm not a linear person when I answer a question. I think I learned this from Jesus. He never answered question one. He's always a 3-dimensional person. So I read a lot, and I think Bible is one of the things I never liked at all, the book, because I had so many issues with it. So along the way, some of God sort of like pineapple bitten me, and I started to read. So I found a lot of wisdom there. A friend of mine called it pages of wisdom. Now, as food, drinking, eating, or alcoholism, or whatever we call it, is to our lifestyle, so is exercise. You mentioned 2 key things about when you're asking the question. One of them was lifestyle. How can we change our lifestyle to actually fit? Everything else rises and falls with lifestyle from when we're being raised. Parents pump kids with watermelon. These kids who you talked about the best. For someone to be your best, it means that the behavior started when they were young. You are giving them everything. Stuffing is like a person whose mouth is full. You keep stuffing things there. You're stuffing things there. Then it goes to become the behavior. The human mind starts to demand for that. So I'll explain this from behavior change from this point of view. We have 3 parts of the brain that controls our behavior and our lifestyle. And if we're able to touch that, then we're able to change our lifestyle back to health and fitness. So one, the front part of the brain, Indians put some kadot here and they say that's where God lives. And they're right. Muslims go on the floor and say, touch down, I'm speaking to God. I mean, they're right because worship is God. Christians don't go the way, but they also anoint the front heads and they say it's rightly so. It's rightly where God lives. They're right. That's where the wisdom part of the human being is. The part that is always highly outreasoned. Now, this middle part of the human being, when we're young, it should be like this. When a child is young, you see it moving. As we grow old, it starts going back and going towards the back. Now, that part of the human being is responsible for pain, for pain, pleasure, and anxiety. Is what we call the emotional part of the human being. Science will call it where the limbic system lies. Now, that is the pivot part of a human being. It's the real functioning of a human being. The memory, the back part of the human being, of the head, is where all the memories, good, bad, is stored. Now, they are very good for our lifestyle because this middle part is responsible for telling us you need food. You're hungry, you need food. And when you get food, it doesn't tell you, and 1 and 2 and 3 enter, and 3 and 4 and 5. And it just takes food and it goes inside the stomach. It doesn't tell you that part. But there is a part that is very anxious to understand. Anybody who is listening to this conversation right now, they are anxious to actually see where is it going to, what is the part is going to bring? Is it going to affect me? I already know at the back of my mind that when I speak, I must arrive at that point. Now, that part is very anxious. When that part is very anxious, it controls the way we do things. There's a part that interprets pain. It takes these two, anger, need for food, becoming very anxious, which is information interpretation. It derives from here. Then here it comes and starts to decode. This part here is where pain is processed. Now, when you go to the gym, you said here that the first time you went pain, next day you are not to go back. Why? Because pain outreasoned this tooth and said, I am not going back to the gym. Gym is a scam. You had people say it. Now, to change that, you need to have these three parts of the brain to start to the rational part of the brain, which says, Emma, actually, the pain, you didn't do it very well. Please go back again. Do it slowly. This time round, the arm was very painful. The leg was very painful. Emma, please go slow. This time, don't do. If you started with 20, reduce. It's you have a conversation in your head when you're doing this exercise. But the moment pain outreason that, you can't change your lifestyle. So what is the first thing we need to do? Change the mindset. Listen to your mind. How did I get the pain? Start with the why question. Simon Sinek says in the leadership book, start with the why question. And I recommend that book to everybody who is listening or watching this. Read the book by Simon Sinek. Says, start with the why question. Why am I doing this? Why do I have pain, Emma? Where did I get the pain? So why leads to what? What leads to how? How leads to why? Why leads to what? What leads to how? How leads to why? Why am I doing it? Why do I have pain? How did I get the pain? What did I do to get this? So if you can go through this process, you find all the answers that the things the guy was telling you to do in the gym, you did it wrong. If they told you, if you started, okay, on the 1st of January, I'll wake up in the morning, I'm going to start running. You bought your shoes, you bought everything, whatever, then you went running. But you are running using Lugaviri or the shoes made out of tire. You're going to get pain. You didn't put on the right what? Attire, shoes when you are walking or running. So I'm talking about behavior change and lifestyle change for us to now get onto this path. So if you will tell this, then now go back. You went running for 10 kilometers. You've not been running for God knows how many years. Then you wake up in the morning, you just want to go and run 10 kilometers. Obviously, Emma, like you said, the muscles are not used to this. The heart was not prepared. The brain was not prepared. Everything about you was not prepared. You subjected yourself to pain yourself. Now, audit that part. Then you go back and say, I recommend to change the lifestyle. Start with, why am I doing this? What do I want to achieve? How do I do it? Then wake up in the morning, get first the right attire, find somebody to ask you the best thing you need to have. You don't need to have so much. Just get canvas, which is good for walking. Get the a short that is flexible. You can even get this. Don't walk naked on the road, because I've seen when I tell people get the attire, then they say, are these jeans? I said, don't go cut your jeans to use your jeans, because the jean is stretchable. Okay, I said, we just get some. Then I found people were cutting their stretchable jeans and going with it on the road. No, it's going to hurt you. Get something that is light. Start by walking. Walk in your neighborhood, just 5 kilometers, come back home and walk normally, put some music, or just be singing. Because also some people started up going to work and then they put the headphones on and then they got knocked by border borders. That in itself, I almost died on the road. I will never do this thing again. I cannot walk out. You can't challenge yourself like that. So do it by walking while you think. 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers, Emma, until you go to 20 kilometers. That's the lifestyle change. Now, you talked about something called hypertrophy. Interestingly, my specialization is actually what we call muscle hypertrophy. So you understand what that means. The elderly people, the older we become, the slower the muscle system comes down. When it starts to go down that way, then we need to subject ourselves to expansion and contraction. So hypertrophy you talked about is muscle hypertrophy needs to keep growing. The muscle needs to remain young. So you expand. So this is my muscle like this. Okay, Emma. They're like this. The veins, this is the blood vessel or whatever that takes the vital fluid. It's there. So fat is bound over this. The muscle is in here, within the blood vessels. That's where it is, the tube. So when I go to work out, I am forcing them to do this. Expand slowly. They will expand. From day 1, it will be like this. Day 2, it will go like this. Day 3, it will go like this, until it becomes this. Now, when it takes, remember, every time it opens, there's a tearing of tissue in between. Okay? That's where the game plan is. That when you do your small running, now when you come back from that walk, do your squats, do your push-ups, do whatever. You are now helping this tissue to tear. When they tear, the food that you've eaten called protein, lean fat, there's what we call recovery process. During the recovery time, this thing goes there, and I was going to use the Luganda word kayungirizi, but now meaning it goes back inside here for those of us who are international, viewers of this. So that fat goes and fill in this gap. Then you will have pain, because during a recovery you have pain. But there's a room, or rather, for our international people, we don't call it room, means there's a small room, basically in Ugandan slang. And so there's that room, that recovery process, Emma, builds until that muscle now have what you're calling hypertrophy. Okay? That it grows in strength and become big. Then you have bicep, tricep. That process takes time. So, number 1, seek for information if you want to prove that. If you are elderly, know that you are no longer 40. Emma was playing basketball when he was 20. Emma now is 40 years. Somewhere along the way, he didn't play basketball for 10 years. Okay? But Emma is still remembering, I used to play basketball back in the days. I was a professional basketballer. So he's coming back at 40. He's going to break his knee. He wants to do the same thing he was doing there. You must recognize that you are not the Emma of 20 years. So when you're coming back, start slowly, the same way you started, building capacity. And in this capacity will take to normalization. The normalization will become acceptability. Then that acceptability now becomes a norm. A norm becomes a practice that you use going forward. So that's the process for us to change our lifestyle and be able to live a better lifestyle. I'll summarize it with 2 things. Diet. While you're doing this, Emma, you need to know what you're eating. Some people go to do this thing to improve their appetite. And then they come and chong chimere. Okay, in Uganda, for those of us international, chong chimere is basically a slang for Chinese eating. So we're saying, when you go, don't come and serve mere food on the plate. I was going to use mere, but food on the plate for 10 people or for 2 people. There are people who eat for 3 people. Every time they work out, they serve. Their portion is for 3 people. you're not helping because you need to just take enough to have the energy, and then allows you to change your behavior on food. And then don't serve everything on the plate, where in Uganda here we call it emere yonna. Yes, you have millet, you have millet bread, you have cassava, sweet potatoes, yam, posho, everything in one serving. Now, these are different types of carbohydrates in one same plate. The body don't process them at the same time. Each of those things have different way the system processes them as carbohydrates. And then you're putting in, give me all foods with beans. There are no greens on that plate. So we don't have micronutrients. We're only going for macronutrients. And in the sense, that behavior doesn't help us when we're trying to work out. So you will hear people, Emma, say, I've worked out for so many years, no results. Why should I continue working out? And they give up. The thing is your behavior. Yes, you're working out very well. You're trying. But what are you eating?
Yeah, you're not disciplined enough.
Yes. Are you sleeping? You're not sleeping enough. Then the last thing, Emma, is consistency and persistence in whatever you do. You must persevere. And when it goes to a certain threshold of it, it becomes normal, and then you go past it. If you have time, I will explain to you what it means. Now, if you're coaching with Emma or with somebody, then there are 3 processes I must tell you to take. 1, what I designed. I call it ingest, digest, and appropriate information. Ingest means take that information you're being given. Digest means think through this information very well. Appropriate information, put it to action. So ingest, digest, and appropriate information. It's something we coined from broadcasting, because we ingest the tape in, we get the whatever out. So I thought that if you think through ingest, digest, and appropriate information, take this information, think through it, and then celebrate every tiny bit of success. If today you've walked for 10 kilometers and you've been walking for 8, my friend, come back and post and talk about it. Say, guys, today I walked this day. I think I'm getting there. Now, that celebration of yourself will make you happy. Some people will tear you down, Emma. Some people will say this, but if you're listening to this podcast, if you're watching it, I'll tell you, celebrate every single victory that you have. It will help you to change. Your question was, how can they help physical exercise to change the lifestyle and improve? That's the process, Emma.
Right. Interesting. Lastly, and just shortly, I think we're running out of time. I've been working out for a while, right? But I reach a point of I'm burnt out, all right? And maybe I don't have inspiration to get back. Oh, I'm stepping on the scale. The last time I saw 80, now it's showing 82, all right? And I just lose inspiration to get back to my normal lifestyle that I was having of working out there. What kind of inspiration from you would you give such a person who is burnt out, but they really need to get back to doing what they're supposed to be doing?
Oh, thanks, Emma. I guess you said the best for the last, as they say it. It's something that most people struggle with. How can I help, or how can people deal with burnt out or burnout? Burnout during not burnt out, but burnout during the exercise. I hear this a lot. I've been working out for so long, I am not getting results. I'm getting frustrated. And my question to people always, including recent occurrence, as far back as just, last week or this week, and running to next week is going to happen, where people say, so-and-so died. They were so fit. Then you're telling us to work out. Then I keep asking, how did you know they were fit? How did you know? I keep saying this, measurable metrics, quantifiable, justifiable, qualifiable measurement. How did you know? So same things here. Yes, you did 80 kilos when you measured. And then the next day you came back, you are 82. Okay. Between the time you measured, first of all, had you eaten? Yes. What had you eaten? Between the time you measured, before you came back, you've had ice cream. You've eaten a half a kilo of rice. You have drunk 10 bottles of alcohol within yesterday. Okay? Those are things that are just building. And then none of these things, you've eaten a kilo of posho because you've been working out. You need to eat. Yesterday worked out, so I need to eat. I'm rewarding myself because coach said or killer said I reward myself. No, I'm not saying you go and reward yourself by eating a chat. So that time, Emma, between the time you've come back, how much cardiorespiratory capacity building have you done? Before you came back to the scale, did you run to burn this food? What did you do to burn the food? Because that food goes and stays in the system. Okay? And the fat will continue to build with what was there. So, and in fact, it will activate very quickly because the inactivity of it will make it build more. So that behavior, Emma, is the reason why you're not seeing the results, because while you're working out here, Emma, you're not leaving the other part well. So please, people, when you're watching this interview, if you're listening to this podcast, it's your behavior. Number 2, how consistent about your workout? Emma, you can't work out. Then I have heard people saying, I'm working out, I work out from Monday to Saturday. Those are 6 days a week. You are basically getting tired. Then a question I'll ask, what is the quality of the workout you're doing? What are you doing for 6 days in a gym? What are you doing? So you'll find these people are not doing anything. You're doing every day you go, you do aerobics. Let me give you an example, Emma. They go and do aerobics for 45 minutes. These days, aerobics in Uganda and the African continent has become 1 hour, 45 minutes. And they call it workout. It's absolute waste of time, Emma. If I explain to people what it means, 99.9% of people who go and do that workout, all this dance class, don't get results. Why? Because they're doing the same thing day in, day out, yesterday, today, like Christ never changed. Or they are like Bantu, learned nothing in that history and forgotten nothing. So my advice, how to fix that problem is 1, about if you work out on Monday, I'm going to start my workout by running 10 kilometers. Tuesday, I'll come back, I'll run 15 kilometers. That's 25. Wednesday, I'm not working out. I'm resting. Wednesday, what am I doing? Go to the steam, and I steam myself for 1.5 hours. Just steaming, detoxing, drinking water, everything. Recovering, Emma, because muscles have been what? Working, you need recovering. Then I come back on Thursday, I work on Thursday again. I do my running from where I stop, 15 kilometers. The last time I ran 20 kilometers, 105. Next day on Friday, I ran 25 kilometers. There is progression. So when you're coming, you're able to measure your progress as you move forward. Then this whole weighing scale, not getting results, I'm not losing, I'm not getting better, you will begin to see it because you're measuring your progress. Anything, Emma, we do in our health and fitness, we don't measure, and it doesn't work out. If you're serving food, I used to serve 2 kilos, I used to eat 3 ladles of, scooping ladles on the plate. I was eating everything. Now, I serve only rice, posho, or rice, with beans and greens. That's what I ate yesterday for lunch. Then, at supper, I'm going to eat only peas, cassava, and greens. It has changed. Tomorrow, I'm going to eat meat with sweet potatoes only and greens. This greens is a constant factor that must always be there because you've eaten these carbohydrates. There is protein and there is micronutrients found out here in greens that activate the metabolism and the enzyme so that the food is always what? Burnt out. So your body is able to process this thing and convert it to energy. So you have enough energy to work out. You have enough things to do. Your behavior is changing. Now measure that over a period of time and tell me if you will not get results. Unless you're not doing that, if you're not doing that, you will not get the results. And that is where most people do. They work out today, they don't work out for 2 weeks, then they come back, but they want results and they're not getting it. Lastly, and perhaps the most important thing I should say to people, do not take food, eat food with a drink at the same time. 99.9% of people, Emma, put on weight as a result of that. Because food needs to be processed in its own solid form. that when you eat food, that cassava, that beans you've eaten at a sauce and that green, yes, whatever it is, let it go in, drink either 30 minutes before food and eat your food. Then do not drink anything because enzymes, your metabolism needs to be what? Active. The enzyme needs to burn the food.
Yeah.
So when you drink and eat at the same time, food becomes soluble. So the enzymes in the body become weak. They get lazy. They don't work to burn the food and convert.
Yeah.
But food is not supposed to stay in the human being for more than 3 hours when you've eaten. It's supposed to be converted to energy, waste stored. That's the reason why we go to the toilet. And most people lose weight. The waste in the body comes out through fatting, releasing of gas. That's the biggest. The solid waste when we go to dump fecal matter in the toilet is like the least end of it. And then resting. So don't drink at sleep. And then the last one, very last one is do not eat now, supper, and you go and sleep. If you eat food, stay for at least, particularly supper, stay for at least 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours active so that your metabolism remain active, your enzyme remain active before you go and sleep. That would be my best advice.
I think we need a whole other episode because when I think about the lifestyle of especially Ugandans, eat at 10, sleep at 10:30, and according to you, that is not something that you should be doing, which I think leads to a lot of other issues. Finally, in just a few words, number one, we have people who do sports. All right. What's your view on sports and working out? Because let's say there's a footballer. All right. Football is what he does, but he also has put in some hours, maybe doing extra workouts in the gym and all those things there. What's your view on that? How can I create a balance? Because again, if I work out, let's say Monday to Saturday, but also have football training in between, by when I get to Sunday, I'm totally burnt out. All right. So how can that person, all right, get a good plan that will still facilitate them working out, but also be able to play their sport? And also, finally, where can people find you? Maybe on social media, what gym do you work out at, and how do they get to work with you?
Wow, fantastic, Emma. Thank you. That question, the answer is very simple. How can people, sportsmen, continue to work out and build? By typical creation of sports requires fundamental muscles of the human being, what I call skeletal muscle of the human being. And these muscles work in close coordination to work. Say, for example, if I play football, to play football, you need a vast amount of cardiorespiratory capacity. That's your number one. You can't run, you can't sustain for long, you will not be able to play football. So make that one a priority if you're a footballer. Basketballer, footballer, volleyballer, athletics, make that number one. That's your primary goal because you are an athlete. That's what makes you. Number two, they are already doing muscular capacity building. They are running. Now, they need to go to because they are running, they're already building that. Now, they need to go to the gym just to build the strength and power. You get it? There's building muscles for strength and power, such that when they knock them, they kick them, they don't break. So what they need to do is go to the gym. During your football, normally footballers, now the way it works is that they do training, there's a day they go to the gym. They don't go to the gym every single day. So make sure they strike a balance. So those ones, I least worry about them because they're usually fit and then they have to watch their diet. I mean, you know the diet that you need to eat when you're playing football. You know what you're not supposed to eat when you're playing football. So up until you are still playing football, when you stop playing football, you maintain that path, but this time around, you have room to go to the gym and do better muscular capacity building, begin to look at flexibility, a range of motion the muscle is able to take, or a joint is able to take. They need to participate to avoid breaking and crushing or injuries. So for athletes, are pretty clear cut out for them to do that. Now, the only thing is when they retire. Most of them, when they retire, you're seeing Ronaldo. When he retired, even Ronaldinho, they are put on weight very quickly. But these are very guys who had worked out because the chances of them building weight is very high. They are no longer there. They use high intensity training. Football is high intensity. Basketball is high intensive. Rugby is heavily intensive. So any sport that is high intensive, volleyball, basketball, name it all. Those ones, when you stop doing and you're eating the same amount of money you're going to eat, you're going to put on weight. So now you need to go down to the gym, let's say 3 times a week, and begin to now get into the muscular capacity building. That's the word. So that's the best advice I can give to any athletes out there, that post your exercise, continue. Because when you're training, the coach will tell you how to build muscle. The training we give to athletes are not the training we give to those who are maintaining weights. The training we give to bodybuilders are very different from the training you're going to give to somebody who is not building body for competition. Where can people find me? I'm a private person. I don't own a gym. A lot of people across the world think they own a gym. Perhaps I'll do that. I have avoided that for a very long time because I don't want to do something. I never get into something that I am not able to suffer until it's successful. So for me, I don't believe just because I have this knowledge, I should start a gym. Obviously, yes, it might be very successful because I have a lot of information and I can work with many other peers in the industry, but I don't want to start a gym. So I don't own a gym. I work out from Fitness Junction and I pay my membership as part of my discipline. For me, Emma, the very first expense of my life is to me. There are 3 things I do. Number 1 is my vertical relationship with God. I don't believe in pastor, man of God, priest. No. I hear them, but I have a vertical relationship with God that we have to speak. Me and him, we have to speak. We have to agree or disagree. Number 2, I make sure my health and fitness is my number 1 priority in life. That's the second most important thing to me. Number 3, and because of that, I pay my gym membership, annual subscription, which is $1,200. It's my expense a day. It works out to like $16,000, $15,000, $11,000 Uganda shilling, 11,000 Uganda shillings every day if you're going to the gym. I mean, that's me who go to the gym. The last thing in that is I look after my family. So family becomes the next big thing. My social network and my family is key for me. Because my brother won't do that for me. Even if, because of that blood thing in it, so the guys I relate with in the gym, that relationship is key for me to maintain. So I don't work out I don't own a gym, I go to a gym. One part of the discipline people need to do is pay your membership. You're not going to go to a place and you want to get results, but you don't want to part with money in your pocket. That's very true. Like I talked about, consistency, commitment, consistency, discipline, is key to achieve that. And that's what I do. At I am Ediokila is my Twitter handle. You can find me at I am Ediokila at I am Ediokila Twitter. Hey, pause is now changed. Sorry. Okay. You find me on X. I don't like it. And Elon Musk knows this. We have tweeted about these things that X doesn't work for me, but I know what he's trying to build. So Twitter at I am Ediokila. You'll find me there. My Instagram is Ediokila. You'll find me on Instagram. I talk to many people. And you'll find me on LinkedIn, Ediokila. I think LinkedIn, I recently realized that thousands of people, millions of people actually read the things I say on LinkedIn. I thought I would just read it. I think, yes. So I found somebody wrote to me from Asia and was telling me, now, how can I get to you? I said, just take me. I'll still coach you from there or give you information. Yes. So that's where they can find me. The other thing is, write to me. My Okila Fitness is at Okila Fitness. If you really want to get serious with your workout, just write to at Okila Fitness. And there will be somebody. I have what they call community manager, some guy called David Okui. Just write there. David Okui will get all the information. And then if you need any serious workout or discussion, we'll definitely have that. It's on LinkedIn, Okila Fitness, and on Facebook, on Twitter, the same, or X for that matter. Those are my social media handles, and I talk to everyone. It's difficult for you to find me on phone, but it's very easy for me to find me on Twitter. In fact, I try to tweet 20 tweets about health and fitness every 2 days, or at least in a week, you will have 25 tweets from me about health and fitness. And this is because I want to help as many people as possible. So just follow that thread and you'll be in touch with me. For the rest, you can most probably contact the owners of this network or this platform. They know where to find me. If you can't find me, just go and subscribe there and say, I'm looking for this guy. They'll know how to find me.
Yeah. All right. Eddie, we just want to say thank you. A lot of knowledge that, you've dropped here. Yeah. And I believe that there's still a lot more knowledge. If we get into the ins and outs of, all those things, just want to say thank you for giving us your time. Hopefully we'll have you again next time on, the We Need to Talk Now podcast. If you're out there, remember, subscribe, like, comment. If you want to look for Eddie, he has given you his handles. Look for him. If you have health issues, there are certain things that your doctor may not be able to solve, but he can solve. There are certain things that physical exercise can actually solve. So, want to thank you for having time with us. Till the next episode, remember, share, like, comment. We're out for now, but keep here in the family of Gather Now Network.